Welcome to the Business Finance Bulletin, episode 107. Welcome again to this week's edition of the Business Finance Bulletin with me, Rob Warlow from Business Loan Services. In this week's edition, bank lending, what are banks doing to support small businesses? The crowdfunding sector, how did it do in 2015? I look at a new crowdfunding equity platform that's just been launched, and also my business finance tip of the week, kind of an educational slot, looking at the history of crowdfunding. Let's start off this week's bulletin by taking a look at the latest figures on how much banks are lending to small businesses. Now, every month the Bank of England produces a raft of statistics all around the extent of borrowing that businesses are getting from banks. And the latest figures are out as of December 2015. The first thing to know is that the Bank of England defines a small business as a business turning over less than £25 million a year. Yep, that is small. So what do the figures show? Well, as of December 2015, the total amount of loans and overdrafts extended to businesses amount to £164 billion. And that is a growth compared to December 2014 of 1.2%, an increase of 1.2%. Now you may think, well, that's not huge, but compare it to where we were 3-4 years ago when I was reporting on blogs about this information, that at that time bank lending totally was being shrinking by 3 to 4% per year. So a growth of 1.2% is not bad. But hey, also, if you're a small business, compare this to your larger competitors. They're suffering. As of December 2015, the total amount of money lent to businesses, larger ones, over £25 million turnover, have shrunk year on year by 0.8%. So small businesses are doing rather well. The message? Well, of course, don't assume that your bank is going to say no. Put your business plan together, get your financial information ready, and go and approach with a credible story. And you may just be surprised by the answer you get. With banks seeming to take an increasing interest now in lending to small businesses, what impact has this had on the crowdfunding world? Well, judging by the latest figures out from the Peer-to-Peer Finance Association, not much of an impact at all. The Peer-to-Peer Finance Association is an umbrella organisation for approximately 8 crowdfunding platforms based here in the UK. And they just released their figures for 2015, and they estimate that their members during 2015 lent out a total of £2.2 billion. At the start of the year, the cumulative figure was £4.2 billion. So they've just grown exponentially. And it's a superb performance by the sector. What about the quarterly performance? Well, as at quarter 4 2015, the association reckoned that their members lent out £660 million, and that compares in quarter 3 to £607 million. So again, a good solid increase. What about number of investors, ordinary people like you or I who are out there supporting small businesses? Well, again, the number of investors increased up to 123,000, and that's an increase on the year of 22%. Borrowers, well, there's an even bigger growth there. They now estimate there are 278,000 businesses borrowing through crowdfunding, and that's a 96% increase on 2014. So all round a superb performance. Who's leading the pack? Well, in the business-to-business world, it's Funding Circle, but top of the tree is Zopa, and that business lends a little bit on the business side, but also to individuals as well. So a superb year for the crowdfunding sector in 2015, and I'm sure lots more growth going to be coming through in 2016. Sticking with crowdfunding, 2 new developments. First of all, are Assetz Capital. Now, Assetz Capital are a debt crowdfunding platform. They provide a range of financial solutions for businesses, from short-term loans, commercial mortgages, development finance, bridging loans, really quite flexible. They do require security in the form of tangible assets, so not for every business, but very good and quick if you do have assets and you have growth plans. So what's the development there? Well, they've just accessed some institutional funding totaling £525 million. So they have a big pot of money ready to lend out to small businesses. So if you do have plans to expand and you need capital, just go along to the Assetz Capital website, and that's Assetz, spelled A-S-S-E-T-Z, Capital, and there you'll find more information on how you can access their support. Also, on the equity crowdfunding side, a new player on the market, GrowthDeck. Now, as I said, this is equity, not debt. So it's ideal for startups, and that's one market where they're focusing on. They're really looking for startups who need lots of help and support in raising money, and that sector does find it very hard. The GrowthDeck team were very experienced equity partners, really looking there to help businesses put the ideal pack together and also make sure that they get the valuation right, which is always a major stumbling block for startups. The fund starts at 500,000 upwards, maximum £5 million. They reckon their sweet spot is about £1 million. So if you want to know more about how you can access them, just go along to their website, which is growthdeck.com. In this bulletin, I've mentioned crowdfunding a few times, so a business finance tip of the week really is more of an educational slot. I often get asked the question, Rob, how did crowdfunding get started and how does it kind of work? Well, here's a clip from a live seminar that I did in which I outline the history of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, probably one of the very first early examples of crowdfunding was in New York, but how the Statue of Liberty got built. Essentially, the city of New York went to the population and raised donations. And that was one of the first examples of crowdfunding where they tapped into the population to help build and construct the Statue of Liberty. More recently, the first modern acknowledged form of crowdfunding was the rock band Marillion. You won't know. But Marillion, the rock band. Back in the 90s, they wanted to tour America. But they had no funds. So what they did, they asked their fan base, we would love to come and tour America to see you, but we can't afford to do it. Here's a bank account. If you can donate $5, $10, and if we can get a tour fund together, we'll come. And that's what they did. They literally got a pot of money together, which allowed them to tour the States. And that kind of kick-started in the arts side of the market, crowdfunding. And crowdfunding really started on the cultural and arts and music scene, where people have a very passionate interest in a particular area, and so people are more willing to donate. And it started off as a donation-based model, where people would just donate money because they're interested. They want to see people produce music, they want to see films, they want to see art, and so people just donated money. So when the credit crunch happened, somebody took a look at the industry and said, hey, look, this is crowdfunding model there, where it's a donation-based system, or a reward-based system, where perhaps people were given free entry to a film or were given a free CD. Why don't we monetize it? Why don't we go and tap into the crowd for loans? Because you've got all of these people here who are earning next to nothing on their bank accounts, and over here, we've got businesses who want money and can't get it. So why don't we actually put them together so the ones with money can actually lend it? The thing is, the people with money don't know who the people are who want to borrow, and they know nothing about it. So tell you what, let's put a platform together where we stand in between and then we can bring them together. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of education and the background to how crowdfunding got started. Well, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for being with me. And as ever, if you did enjoy it, please give us a like on whichever channel you're watching or listening, whether that's on YouTube or the podcast version via our SoundCloud, iTunes and Stitcher channels. All you have to do, just give it a like. It really does help. So that's it for this week. Thanks very much for being with me. I look forward to being with you again next week. And don't forget, if you do have a project you want to discuss, just drop us an email, info@businessloanservices.co.uk. Till next Friday, thanks very much. Have a great, successful and profitable week. Bye-bye now.